In marketing, everything must work seamlessly, or efficiency, speed, and ROI all suffer. Suffer, I tell you. That's why Quad is obsessed with making sure your marketing machine runs smoothly with less friction and smarter integration. Better marketing is built on Quad. See how better gets done at quad.com/build better. Hey gang, it's Friday, July 18th. Susie, Tim, and listeners, welcome to Behind the Numbers, a new marketer video podcast made possible by Quad. I'm Marcus, and today I'm joined by two people. Let's meet them. We start with our Vice President of Content and head of our retail desk, living life in New York. It's Susie David Kenyon.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Hello there, of course. We're also joined by President and Chief Strategy Officer of Agency Services at Quad, living in New York as well. It's Tim Malini.
Hello, great to be here.
Hello, sir. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
He's an external guest, so we start, of course, with a speed intro. This is the part where we get to know our guests a little bit better, internal and external. Two questions. First one's just for Tim. Tim, what do you do in a sentence?
I try to make the hard parts of marketing easy for clients.
Very nice. And tell us a bit about Quad.
So Quad is a legacy printer that now offers the complete range of marketing services. We have a great creative agency called Betty. We have a fully integrated media agency called Rise, design studio called Favorite Child. We do direct. We have an incredible data platform. So anything you could ask an advertising agency or media agency, fully integrated marketing services company to do, we do at Quad.
Very nice. Second question. First to you, Tim. If money wasn't a factor and you weren't allowed to do what you're doing right now, what job would you want to do and why?
I would write novels, which I do now with my day job, but I would probably write more. I would write in different genres. I'd maybe write books for young readers, kids' books, things like that. Right now, I just have time to write mystery novels, but I love my day job. So I'd only write full time if I wasn't allowed, as you said, to do my day job. I like the balance. I like doing both.
Very nice. You already have some stuff published.
Yeah, 6 novels out, bunch of short stories. Yeah.
Okay. And your favorite is?
Favorite is probably the most recent, Hanging the Devil. It's an art heist. It's a global art heist. So if you've ever fantasized about robbing a museum, this might be the book for you.
Susie has.
Always.
You've robbed a museum or just thought about it?
All of the above. I plead the fifth.
You don't have to say on air. That's okay.
Susie, how about you? What would you do?
So true story, would be a journalist / talk show host. And it would be something between an Oprah Winfrey and a Barbara Walters. My friend's mom in high school has already dubbed the name of my show. So if anybody's listening and would like to produce it, it would be called Susie's Secrets. And I think it would be amazing.
I would watch that show all day long.
Thank you.
I probably wouldn't. You said you were better than
Obviously.
Letterman. You said you'd be better than David Letterman, and that seemed too much for me. You know.
I mean, I don't even know what to say to that. Come on.
We're happy to have you here, and luckily you've got a day job. Today's real topic: the future is physical, reclaiming real-world relevance in a digital age. All right, folks. Today we are talking about the physical realm. It's the one we live in. Sometimes we forget that. Tim, I want to start with this question. Why should brands care about physical touch points in today's overwhelmingly digital first age, it seems?
We are 3-dimensional creatures and we live in a 3-dimensional world.
Not
And the
Marcus.
digital world is just an extension of that. And I think often marketers make it an either or proposition. You know, am I a digital brand? Is the digital store, when in fact customers want a blend of both because that's their reality. And we're seeing that. You see this in this study. Younger consumers in particular are trying to digitally detox. They want in-store experiences. They want to get catalogs, direct mail. The tactile sense has gotten lost in the swing to digital. We want to do both as marketers.
Yeah.
You know, what's the balance? But it all works together.
Yeah.
And the study you're referencing, you just put out, it's a piece of research with the Harris Poll. Tell us a bit about that quick.
Yeah, it's a big study with the Harris Poll and Quad, and it looked at the relationship between the physical and digital, and some of the stats were extraordinary. I mean, you have 8 out of 10 young people saying they explore some kind of digital detox, which we were talking about earlier, and that's just become part of their routine. But then things like 86% saying touching products changes their decision to buy. They're craving surprises in mail. They like getting catalogs. And for me, it's an extension of what you start to see with retro fashion, vinyl, just the return to analog. We forget that touch is the most powerful sense we have, and brands need to activate that in conjunction with everything else they do.
Mhm. Yeah, it's easy to forget that. Susie, our forecasting team, continues to point out the shopping in store matters more than online, and the dollars seem to reflect that. 83% of folks shopping in brick and mortar locations this year. Fast forward to 2029, which seems way in the distant future, it's still over 80% of people shopping in stores. So in store still matters, which seems ridiculous to say, but sometimes we need reminding of that, apparently.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Not only does it matter, but it's paramount, right? And what's even more important is to think about how do you get people into a store, whether it's through a good experience or whether it's through good product, but then how do you try and stay connected with them while they're in the store so you mix and match digital with physical so that you have an even more powerful experience.
Yeah, exactly. If I get a piece of direct mail that might have a QR code that might refer me to some offer or something else in store, how do you make sure when they're in the store that's a good experience, they don't get distracted? All of that goes hand in hand.
Yeah, and it seems to depend on the category quite significantly. Jennifer Williams of the Wall Street Journal was reading a piece that she just wrote, and she was saying time spent lingering in the stores has been declining in recent years. However, it has begun to pick up in certain sectors, apparel, beauty, things like that. She said they're both rising by about 4% and 2% respectively in the first kind of part of this year versus the same period in 2023. Data from Alex partners there. So it does depend on the category. But Tim, it does seem as though, regardless of the category, a lot of folks do center their day around the trips that they've got to make to whatever store that is. 63% of consumers planning trips around retailers, according to this piece of research that you just put out.
Well, you think about your own experience. What am I going to have for dinner tonight? And, do I need something in the house? Do I need something in the apartment? Am I going to meet friends later? Am I going to stop along the way at a particular store? So a lot of the things that we think of as chores or errands are, in fact, shopping trips and experiences that lead you back into the physical world. And a lot of those are taken in conjunction with, I looked up something online, or I might like that. I'm going to go in the store and check it out. I'm going to see if that fits or if I like the fabric, or I want to just know where the store is. And that combination is what we're seeing, both in how you can reach consumers, but also what people want as experiences. Especially, again, for me, the most surprising thing about the study that when you stop and think about it actually makes sense is millennials and Gen Z, the numbers go even higher. They're the ones who really want to get out there and experience the real physical world again.
What was really surprising in a good way is that it is truly the younger generation that wants the digital detox and is looking for that sense of community and belonging and like that buzz. If you think about in New York, there were some stores long ago in Soho who had lines for people to get in, right? And so it's like this whole experience that they're looking for and a vibe, and it's coming from the younger generation who that's what they want more than a screen, because they're doing their homework on screens, they're working on screens, they're being entertained, watching TV. I mean, everything is happening on a screen and it all starts to blur. This is where the store comes in, right? The physical stuff.
And I think brands forget that a great brand is an experience. There's an emotional component to that experience, how I feel when I see the logo or how I respond to your advertising. But the product itself, the store experience, all of that. So how do you tie that entire experience into an unbroken thread? And you need to think about that from your marketing standpoint as well. Because that's where the points of consistency and authenticity come through, especially for younger shoppers.
So, Tim, we're talking a lot about young people wanting those types of in-store experiences, but it's the older folks who have had those in the more traditional sense. And so I'm wondering what's making younger folks want a more physical retail experience, in your opinion, when they don't remember, the Toys R Us stores the same way that folks who, are the kind of late millennials and up experienced.
I think part of it is a yearning for, it's almost a primal desire for the tactile. Again, if we haven't been using that sense except to, swipe one way or the other, just tap on our phones, it's not really the same. Retailers have long talked about, should we have a scent in the store? What are the colors we use? Things like that. Those are all different ways to activate your senses and create an impression, but also a memory, right? An emotional memory. And I think for younger consumers, when you look at things like DJ culture leading to this interest in vinyl and record players, why has that had staying power? There's something really cool about holding a record. It's great to listen to music on Spotify, but it's also great to actually have a thing and own a thing and touch that, take it out of the slipcase and all of that. I think you're seeing a lot of retro products come back for their utility, but also because of that tactile experience. But the study really hit on interesting things like wanting to get direct mail, wanting to see catalogs. We see the big digital retailers like Amazon doing a Christmas catalog. Why is that? Something great about flipping through, getting ideas, marking pages. That's not to say they're not advertising to you digitally. It's not to say that their site isn't critical. That's the heart of their business. But how do you use those things in conjunction? And I think marketers make the mistake thinking it's either or. Your digital campaign is going to be a lot more effective if you drop direct mail at the right time and vice versa.
Yeah. I mean, there's a reason why we always say meet them, the customer, where they are. And that way you remove a lot of friction points for them, right?
Exactly.
And we forget sometimes that is both a physical and a digital, and it comes together sometimes, and that's okay.
Yeah. I want to pick up on a word we've been using, which is experience. Susie, I wanted to throw this at you. So Grant Gustafson, head of retail consulting and analytics at Sensormatic Solutions, thinks, quote, post-pandemic, we have definitely seen a shift where when consumers decide to shop in store, they are expecting an experience, close quote. What do you make of that?
So I think it's kind of like the idea of value. It means different things to different people. I don't know if you guys saw some of the LinkedIn posts of the 4th of July weekend where people were going into, it happens to be the same store where the shelves were empty. So like that's a bad experience, right? So like everything about going into a store is technically an experience. I think depending on who the audience of that study was, it could be, if it's younger folks or a certain demographic, they want an experience to be a pop star is there signing autographs, or there's like a makeup counter person that's doing your makeup for free, or there's an advisor who's helping you pick the right outfits. All of these things are experiences. Beading necklaces, like all of these things could be experiences. So I think it just depends on the context.
What I love about that is if you think about retail, for the longest time, it was stock the goods. I'll go get the goods. I know where to get them. Now, because I can buy things off my phone or there's other alternatives in my area, beyond the experience, retailers have to realize they're in the hospitality business.
Yeah.
So what's it feel like when I go in? What's the aisle width? What's the lighting like?
Yeah, the cleanliness. I mean, all these things. If
I don't enjoy that experience or the shelves are bare, I'll
Yeah.
just order it online or I'll go to another store.
Yeah.
And yet, if it's a welcoming environment, in addition to coming back, there's that sense of discovery. And that's one thing you see with younger audiences. And you look at the success of certain retailers like TJ Maxx, you literally don't know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
And that's part of the fun of it.
Yeah.
I can go in and out, but discovery is a big part of shopping that I think got lost for a little while there.
Yeah. And it depends. If you're going to a grocery store, you kind of want to go in and out, right? So the experience needs to be different than TJ Maxx that is known to be the treasure hunt. They kind of do it on purpose, like a Costco. I'm pretty sure they move everything around on purpose. So you discover things you didn't know you needed, right? The Printemps here in New York, I don't know if you've had the chance to see it. It is truly an experiential place, right? Between the makeup stuff that is only 2 brands, maybe 3 brands, but then there's like a little bar and a tea place, and the shoe salon is truly a salon. I think it just depends. Experience matters, but understanding what that looks like for your consumer, once you have the basics down, that depends.
Yeah, I think you're spot on. At first, when I thought of experience, I was like, okay, something a bit above and beyond. And there was this example in the Wall Street Journal piece talking about Canada Goose and customers trying on parkas and other cold weather gear in cold rooms where the temperatures are below freezing. Have you gone and done that before?
I have done it.
What was it like?
So I'm not saying this about Canada Goose, but I am saying that there could be experiences that are gimmicky, right? So there's another retailer who shall remain nameless that had like a jean try-on machine where you walk through. Do you know about this one? If I said the name, you would know, but I'm scared to say the name. So like if you go into the machine, it would like 3D image you to tell you what
like
are the
virtual
right
reality.
what are the right jeans in the right size for you. Amazing. There was always a lineup, but they didn't always have those jeans in that brand, in that size available for you, right? So the cold room is not the right example. Any of these more gimmicky experiences, if you can't deliver the promise, which is I have the shoes, I have the coat, I have the jeans and whatever you're looking for on the spot, then you lose. You're better off having less sort of glitzy experiences, but find ways to create that community. You know what? A book reading. I mean, there are lots of things you can do that will help foster loyalty without losing yourself in that.
Yeah. Yeah, there was an example, Coach stores offering coffee and cocktails. And the company was saying that the more immersive stores are performing better than other locations, elevated traffic, longer dwell times, higher frequency of returning. And they were saying it's been resonating with Gen Zers in particular, which I thought was quite interesting.
Yeah, they're buying into the experience. And in a way, that's where you have to think about your marketing as an experience too. I mean, that's part of the experience. And I think sometimes marketers try to make things overly complicated and forget that people do business with brands that they like.
Yeah.
And most things are a want. And if it feels like a should, it gets put back burner. But if it's I want to go to that store, I want to buy this product, or I want to look at this catalog, then people start to engage because there's so many choices that tyranny of choice can paralyze people. And instead, you have to be a little more inviting and a lot more human. And I think that got lost for a while.
Absolutely. And if you create that cultural sort of space and you create a destination, whatever that looks like for your brand that's authentic, people will be inspired and they're going to come back versus like, this is a distribution point, which it used to be thought of that. And maybe for groceries, it really is that. But there are lots of brands where it shouldn't be just a distribution point because then you can just be online and do it online.
Yeah, exactly.
One of the other things I loved about the report was this whole idea around the wow factor. And it's beyond the TJ Maxx treasure hunt. It's almost like touching and feeling brings this surprise, delight. And you guys had some great information on that.
Yeah, I mean, that goes back to the tactile memory and experience that we all crave. It was something like 7 out of 10 millennials and Gen Z said they wanted to be surprised by brands by getting things in the mail, even direct mail. And I think the key word there is surprised.
Yeah.
Right. That idea that, I wasn't expecting that. And now I'm holding something. And even if that leads me to something as simple as a QR code, if the brand comes through in that, I have more emotional connection with that company and with that brand. And I'm thinking about that product in a different way. And whatever I just glimpsed in my peripheral vision digitally, or if I happen to pay attention to a TV ad or saw something on YouTube, it's not only just going to stay with me. I appreciate the fact that I didn't see that coming. And I think same with catalogs, same with in-store experiences, that surprise and delight is a real thing in the physical world.
Even things like getting a package in the mail, right? And the way it's packaged. Sometimes I shop at the same stores all the time. Sometimes it comes, you can tell it came from a store. It's like so beautifully packaged. Sometimes it comes from the distribution center still in the plastic bag. And there's no right or wrong necessarily, but it certainly creates a different emotional connection when I could tell someone took the time to make my package look very pretty.
You mentioned unboxing. That is a thing that is now celebrated, but everybody loves to get packages in the mail. It's like Christmas every day. And some brands have done a brilliant job with their packaging where that's part of the experience and it's creating an anticipation of the quality of what you're going to get. It's this almost subcutaneous excitement that fuels that brand connection.
Excellent. Unfortunately, that's all we've got time for today's episode. The full report is called The Return of Touch, and you can click the link in the show notes if you want to read all of the findings from Quad and the Harris Poll. It's a brilliant piece of research, but thank you so much to my guests for hanging out with me today. Thank you first to Tim.
Thank you. Great being here.
Yes, sir. Thank you to Susie.
Thanks for having me.
Always a pleasure. And thank you to the whole editing crew and to everyone for listening in to Behind the Numbers New Marketer Video Podcast made possible by Quad. Subscribe to hear about new episodes. Follow us so we appear in your podcast library, and leave a rating review if you can. Behind the Numbers will be back on Monday, July 21st. Happiest of weekends.